this is a big deal. The Super Bowl's coming up. Travis Scott, one of the biggest things in music, and he is now being attacked in many ways by people who think that he tried to play Colin Kaepernick to get him to support something that Colin wouldn't have done.
There was a conversation between Travis Scott and Colin Kaepernick before a discussion about, well, yes, before or after is the issue here. But it was about whether or not whether it was a good idea for Travis to do the Super Bowl halftime show in light of the fact that there are a lot of people, especially in the black community, who are boycotting the NFL because of the way
and upset with Travis.
They feel Colin Kaepernick has been treated.
And so there was a story that came out yesterday, and the insinuation, or in fact, the story said that basically Colin, that Travis Scott called him beforehand, and Colin saying no, it was after. We know exactly what happened, and we're going to tell you about this, and it's really interesting. So we broke the story on TMZ.com that Travis Scott agreed to do the Super Bowl. We broke that story on December 20th. So he had agreed. What he hadn't done was actually signed with the NFL to do the show.
Right.
He was really surprised. After we put the story up, there was a lot of blowback. A lot of people said, shouldn't be doing the show.
Right.
This is an affront to the black community. And he was surprised. So he starts thinking, what can I do to be sensitive to the black community? And he started thinking, maybe I can get the NFL to give a donation to a charity that helps the black community.
Right.
And
which they agreed to, they agreed to do that.
But not immediately, Charles, because they went back and forth. And we are told that during this back and forth, Travis was prepared to walk if the NFL didn't give the money.
Now, the conversation with Colin, when did that's...
So here's the conversation with Colin. The deal was actually signed by Travis Scott just a couple of days ago. Before it was signed, Travis Scott, we found out, called Colin Kaepernick, not to get permission to do it because he had pretty much already decided that he was going to do it. But he called him, you know, I think it's fair to say to get his blessing.
To get a blessing. This is what it sounds like to me, although
but not
people
for permission.
are not saying that word.
But not for permission.
Not for permission.
But the blessing thing is essentially another way of saying permission because you wanted Colin to essentially co-sign on it.
But the difference
or else he wouldn't have reached out.
Well, but the difference is that Colin Kaepernick, we know during the conversation, said, I don't think you should do it. So if it really was for permission, he wouldn't be doing the Super Bowl and he wouldn't have signed. He did sign.
The frustration from Colin's side, and what I mean by that was you can see Nessa, his girlfriend, has tweeted about this, and some of their close friends have also put out statements publicly on this, is the way that this interaction, the phone call they had, went public, went to the media, was framed in a way that it made it seem that Colin had given his stamp of approval to Travis.
Right, but that's just the way the story was written, Evan. That doesn't make it so.
I know, but obviously, to me, it's very obvious that that story generated from somebody close to Travis trying to get some positive publicity for Travis.
Without getting specific about sources, Evan, you and I talked to people connected to Colin's world 30 minutes ago. They are actually kind of co-signing on what we're telling you now, which is Travis did call Colin, and
how was the conversation described?
But he called him before Travis actually signed the deal.
Right, but as far as the tone of the conversation,
cordial, non-hostile, but they never agreed.
So they had a conversation to talk things out. Travis obviously hoped to reach some common ground with Colin. That did not happen.
Right.
So instead of just everybody moving on with their lives, somebody decided to put it out there that this conversation was had with the intent, and again, I'm not saying this came directly from Travis at all.
We don't know who
did it. But somebody put the story out with the intent to make it seem like that there was an understanding from Colin's side about why Travis was going to do that. And from the conversations that we've had, that's just, there's no common ground here.
Right.
Colin feels the way he feels, and Travis feels the way he feels, and there is a very strong line difference separating the two sides.
And our Travis sources say that Travis Scott is very clear that he was not asking Colin Kaepernick to tell him what to do, that Colin cannot tell him what to do. He can listen, but Travis makes his own decision. So they were very clear on that.
But I think the frustration from Colin's side here, and I'm not giving you a statement.
It's because of the way the story was written.
Is that he's sick of being dragged into things where, you know, he didn't initiate this. He wasn't a part of this. They reached out to him. He took the call to talk things out, and now it's being spun in a way where he's being used as like a pawn to advance an agenda here.
I mean, the thing that's odd is that both sides, both Travis and Colin, agree on the fact that during that phone conversation, they did not agree. And you're right, Evan, that story made it sound like Colin and Travis had reached some common ground, and that Colin gave some sort of tacit approval.
But both sides are telling us that didn't happen.
Right.
So the reality of this story is that the story made a weird left turn, that other story, but we know they talked. We know they talked before he signed the deal. We know Travis wasn't asking for permission, but he did want his blessing, and we know they never agreed.
And then here's the piece de resistance, right? Colin's girlfriend Nessa recently posted something, the Urban Dictionary definition of the word sellout, and she posted it on the same day that Big Boy from Outkast agreed to do the Super Bowl, and in the wake of Travis Scott officially announcing that he was going to do the Super Bowl. So I think their position on this is crystal clear.
Hey, it's Langston from Washington, D.C., and I just have to say, Travis Scott is a liar. Get out the way, because his pants are definitely on fire. I feel like it's a smack in the face to us fans that really thought that Colin was on board with this, and to find out that in generality, he's not. So now we're like,
Langston, I will tell you, I was on the phone for a long time this morning. I don't think Travis Scott tried to make people believe that. I think that somebody did, but I don't think Travis
we don't know what
did.
their motive is,
because Travis would know that Colin would immediately come out and say that didn't happen.
Right.
And I know that Travis is very open about acknowledging there was never an agreement. So I think it just went left.